Hello and welcome to another episode of PG's Minecraft Command Tutorial. Now, before we begin today, you notice there's a lot of snow on the ground behind me. I want to introduce you to a friend of mine. See if we can't go find him. Where's he wandered off to? This here is Mr. Pumpkin. You'll notice that he leaves snow behind him as he walks. He's a bit of a mess. He doesn't know how to clean up after himself. So a lot of times I'll have to come up and take out my trusty shovel and oops. See? I have to clean up the dirt after him, all kinds of different things. It gets tedious, to say the least, to try to clean up after him. We've been having an argument about his tidying up habits recently, and we're going to have some after this recording session. But that brings me up to the topic I want to talk about today, arguments. So we talked a little bit about arguments in the last episode. We talked about they are, when dealing with commands, arguments are how you tell the world what you want to interact with and how you want to interact with it. But now I want to go a little bit more in depth into how exactly they work with different commands and things like that. So with that, let's get started. The first arguments that I want to talk about are command-specific arguments. Not all commands have these, so let's take a look at a few of them to do. The first one we're going to look at is the game mode command. So we're going to bring up our text window just like we did last time, and we're going to type in /game mode. And then it gives a list of 4 options. We have Adventure, Creative, Spectator, Survival. If you've played Minecraft for any amount of time, you should know what a few of these are. If not, you can always create a world and have it be set to this mode, and go try out and find out what it means. So, for this command, you can set it to Adventure. And set myself to Adventure mode, and then look. I can't break any of these trees because I don't have an axe. Because I don't have the right tool to destroy them, right? That's adventure mode. So, I want to set myself to survival mode. I just set it to survival mode like that. And bada bing, I can now break these trees if I want to. Let's go through all of them here. We'll go creative. This is what this is what I usually record in. It's just, easy to break stuff. Creative, got your list of blocks and whatnot. And then finally, /game mode spectator. And you can, in spectator mode, you can go through blocks, that sort of thing. And if there was any other players on, you could teleport them, that sort of thing. So that's what spectator mode is for. So let's go back into creative mode. Those are the first 4 examples of command-specific arguments. No other command is going to use that. So like if, for instance, I did /tp creative, that doesn't do anything. That's not an argument that it takes. It's specific to the command. There's a few of them that are like this, and you can generally find out what they are by typing in the command. So for example, we're going to set the time. Set. And then you can see it's day, midnight, noon, night, or noon. You can do night. And there you go. It sets the time to night. And I have over there I have a command block set up to set it to day, so it instantly sets it back to day. But yeah, that's an example of a command specific argument. The final example I'm going to show you is the scoreboard command, because it's got quite a bit of them. We're going to go more in depth into a lot of these commands specifically, but just know that the first arguments that a command takes are command-specific arguments. So we can do objectives, and we can list all the objectives. And I have one objective set up right now, and that's health. The second arguments that I want to talk about are target selectors. Target selectors are the thing, the entity, in the world that you want to use the command on. So there's 5 general target selectors, and then you can also use specific target selectors. So let's take a look at the 5 general ones. We're going to take a look at the teleport command here. You'll notice that when it pops up, it gives me a bunch of options here. It gives me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 options. Well, these bottom 6 are the target selectors, because you see these are coordinates. We'll get to coordinates in just a second. These are the target selectors, and we'll go through each of them. So at A, targets all players to, and we'll just do 0, 0, and it teleports me right to 0, 0. If there was other players on the server or whatever, it would teleport all of the players, every single one, to this spot. Let's take a look at it. Let's get a little bit farther away, and you can see that I actually did teleport. Yep, see, brings me right back here. Let's see, the next one that it brings up is at E. What is at E? At E, if we go back up to here, it says all entities. So then at E teleports me. But let's also spawn a pig over here and see what happens to this pig, because we are teleporting all entities, right? So let's go over here near this pig. Oh, and look at that. This pig also got teleported with us, because it is, in fact, an entity. The next one on the list is at P. What is at P? Well, just like it says here, at P is the nearest player. So I'm going to do at P. Teleports me over here, because I am the nearest player to myself. If there was other players, that one, there's a little bit, it works a little bit strangely when used in conjunction with command blocks, because it tries to get the nearest player, and so it's the nearest player to the command blocks. We'll talk about that more when we actually get to command blocks, that one. But just know that it targets the nearest player to the thing using the command. The next one is at R, which, as we can see here, is a random player. So, as I'm the only player on the server, it's going to randomly select me, but if there was more players, it would randomly select between all of us with an equal chance. And then finally, at S. And at S is the current entity. That's the entity using the command, which is me as the player, so it teleports me to 0, 0. So those are all different targets, general target selectors. A target selector is who you use the command on. Those are the 5 kinds of target selectors: at A, at E, at P, at R, and at S. Most of the time, they target players. However, you noticed at E also targets entities, and at R, when given a selector set, which we will talk about in just a minute, can also target entities if need be. Basically, target selector is what you are targeting with the command. Now, you may have noticed that next option, /TP, underneath the 5 general ones, there's a specific one of my name, PG805. And if I do that, it also teleports me to 0, 0. So you can also be just very specific about who you want to targeting using just a username. So, and then finally, the last target selector is the understood target selector. If you don't type anything for your target selector, so like you notice that it just brings up the coordinates here, or this special notation, the tilde notation, which we will talk about in just a minute as well. It automatically assumes that you are typing in /s, which means that it just targets the current entity using the command, which in this case is just me, so it teleports me to 0650. The other example we just saw of this was the game mode command. So for example, I just typed in /game mode adventure creative. I could have put a target selector and have it targeted different things. Now, it won't work on just like entities, because entities can't be, like a creeper can't be in creative mode, but if you did do at A, I would turn everybody on the server, if I was on a server, to creative mode, or survival mode, or spectator mode. If you remember in the last video, when I teleported that pig into the air, I typed in at E type equals pig for my selector, for my target selector, at E as the main target, and then I typed in this extra bracketed bit here. What is this? Well, this is a selector set. Basically, what a selector set does is it takes your target selector, at E in this case, every entity, and it tells it, I don't want every entity, but I do want every entity that is of type pig. So it takes a cross-section of all of the whatever you're targeting with your main target selector, and it tells it, I only want these that are in the original target selector. So in this case, this would have targeted every single entity that is of type pig. So let's take a look at a few of these other selector sets and see how they work. So we'll do /tp. Actually, what we'll do is we'll come over here and spawn a pig or two first, and then we'll do /tp at E distance. The first one is distance. This teleports everything in a certain distance from the place where the command is being used. So remember that there's like the entity using the command, that's what the @s is targeting. Well, distance does a value from that. So we'll do distance. That pig looks like it's about a block away, so we'll teleport that, and then 0, 6, 0. Oops, no entity was found. Maybe it's 2 blocks away. Nope. Why isn't this working? Well, here's the thing about the distance command. It does exactly that distance away. So, you see, it's trying to do exactly 2 blocks away from where I am. If we look at our coordinates here, I'm at negative 9.381 and 1.925. And this pig is at, well, he could be, he's on this block somewhere about 2 blocks away. About, stand where he's standing, about negative 10.013 and negative 0.075. Now, normally, we don't really care about the decimals when dealing with coordinates, but for the distance command, we really do, and so it makes it a little bit annoying to work with when we need something sort of specific. Luckily, there is a way sort of around this, and that's this. We introduce these 2 periods here. Now, what are these 2 periods doing? Well, they introduce it to be a range. And you see, now this teleports the pig, and myself, because we are also within 2 blocks of the @s. In fact, we're 0 blocks away, which is less than 2. So it teleports everything within a 2-block radius now, as opposed to just being 2 blocks away. If we want to if we want to find out exactly how far something is away, well, we can just summon it exactly too far away. So we'll do summon pig, and we'll do, and I'll explain exactly what these are in just a second. I believe that's 10 in the x, positive towards negative x. So then we'll do 10, that is 10 away, and then again, we'll do see that pig is now 10 blocks away. So when we do the distance now, 10 blocks, it does actually do it 10 blocks away. Teleports it right here to 0, 0. But if we just spawn a pig in here, try to get a few in there just so that we have a chance of getting one, maybe. See, no entity was found because there's no pig that's exactly 10 blocks away from these coordinates, and that's to the decimal. So the distance command can be a bit tricky if you aren't using ranges. And now let's talk a little bit more about how that range works. So you saw I put those 2 periods there. I can also put a number there and do from like 8 to 10. That teleports all the pigs from range 8 to 10 blocks away. So that's about a 2-block range out there from 8 to 10 blocks away that it teleports them from. I can also leave this part, and it teleports all the pigs that are farther than 8 blocks away back to 0, 0. Or all the, in this case it's pigs because there's no other entities around, but all the entities that are farther than 8 blocks away back to 0, 0. We can use the distance function along with, in conjunction with another selector set, the coordinates selector set. Let's get my F3 down there. And we can use that to target a specific cross-section of animals or cross-section of entities within a certain range of coordinates. So we'll do /TP at E. So we'll say the X is equal to 0, the Y is equal to 56, and the Z is equal to 0, and the distance is equal to, let's do like 2 blocks away, within 2 blocks of 0, 0, and then we will teleport them, to me. It teleports all the pigs right here. So what this is doing is it's essentially setting the coordinates of where you're using the command, or for where you're selecting these entities from. Because normally it would just do a distance of 2 from yourself. But when you add these coordinates, it now says, okay, within these coordinates, a distance of 2 away from that spot. So it says, essentially, that it starts its selection from here as opposed to where I was, which was way over here, because I was not within 2 blocks of those pigs, right? So that's how it determines the coordinates. If I didn't have that distance there, then it doesn't select within a distance of those coordinates. It just teleports all of the entities in general, because you're just changing where the command is selecting from, which doesn't actually change the cross-section of how many entities there are. You see, it'll just teleport all of the entities right back to here, because all of the entities are within some range, the range not being specified because we didn't specify a distance. All the entities within an infinite range back to this coordinates. So the next selector set I want to talk about is volume. You can select by a volume. So essentially, if you imagine like a box like this, then anything within this box where like this is one of the edges and then it goes like up this high and this to here, essentially make these into a box, right? Now what does the syntax look like? So what we do is we do type at E, at E, and we do dx, signaling the x coordinate, how far we want that to go, which x is currently to my right. So we'll do a 10 block box by a dy equals 10 by a dz equals 10. So that should do a 10 by 10 by 10 box. Oops. I don't know if anything's in my range right now, but we'll teleport them to me. It looks like there were some pigs over in this box, as the box goes like there to there. So let's see if I can't get you a better view here. So we got some pigs over here in this box. If we do the same command, it does a 10 by 10 by 10 area, selects all the entities within that 10 by 10 area, and summons them to me. The next selector you can select by is scores. So right now I have a scoreboard set up. We'll talk about how to set up some scoreboard stuff in another video. But for right now, you can see my health is the one score I had set up. If I do /scoreboard objectives list, I have one objective and it's health set up. And I have it set up here in the tab list so you can see it. I have 6 health right now, because in Minecraft, of course, each heart is 2 health, so I have 6 health right now. So if I slash teleport at A scores equal, and we'll close that off. So scores are a little bit different because you actually have to tell it what scores you want to check. So how you do that is you introduce these curly brackets, and you just essentially do the same thing that you did before. So if you wanted to check multiple scores, you would put a comma here, and you would add another score here, and say, hey, I want to teleport everybody with a health of 6, or whatever score you're trying to do. I want to teleport them to 0, 56, 0. And look at that. I get teleported right here. 0, 0, because I have a health of 6. Now, let's say I wanted to do everybody with a health of 7, and no entity was found. How about I change this to at E, and I do like 10. No entity was found. So yeah, that's teleports everybody with a certain score to the coordinates. Now you can also select based on tags. So again, we'll do a video on scoreboards and tags and stuff later. But for right now, you should see that if I do /tag PG805 list, it says I have one tag, the best, because I am the best. So if I TP at A, tag equals best, 0, 56, 0, teleports me there. See if anybody, if I want to teleport just the worst people to 0, 0. Oh, well, no one is the worst on the server, so thankfully nobody gets teleported there. Let's see. After that, we can also select how many entities we want to do. So let's say, oh, I just need one entity or 2 entities to get teleported. So what we can do is /TP at E limit. That limits how many entities it can target. So then we'll do limit 2, and we'll do 0, 56, 0. And it teleports the nearest 2 entities to the at S, which happens to be my player and this one pig, and it teleports us to 0, 0. So if I up that to like 5, teleports 5 of us here to 0, 0. See, it leaves the rest of them, but it teleports 1, 2, 3, 4, and including myself, that's 5, and that's 5 entities that it targets. Limiting is useful if you have a specific number that you need to be in a certain area or whatever. If you think there's going to be a lot, it can select just a few of them in case there's going to be multiple of something. The next thing you can do is game mode. So let's switch my game mode to survival real quick. Can type survival, and see, I've got, now that I'm in survival mode, let's TP at E type just game mode equals creative. Let's give it a place to teleport to. No entity was found. Nobody's in creative mode right now. But if I switch this to survival, yep, teleports everybody to in survival mode to there. So let's do mode creative. Alright, so that's, I'm in creative. Let's go back to survival because I want you to see my score down here, right here. So that's one of the other things that we can select based off of. So if we do level, as in EXP level, and we do 4, it teleports me there. So then I can teleport 3, and no entity was found. Another selector that you can use is the name selector. So if we do /TP at E, name equals PG805 0, 56, 0, teleports me there. If we had another name in there, let's do like do Jeff Goldblum. Oh, there's no one here named Jeff Goldblum. Makes me sad. Maybe it needs a space. So to put spaces here, you have to remember to put quotation marks around it, because if not, then it won't accept it without. So like if I took away these, it won't let me do that because there's a space there. So it's important that you have the quotations there if you want to do a space there. It's also important that there actually be somebody with that in their name. It's also important to note that this is not the same name as goes on a name tag here, because you see I named this Jeff Goldblum. If I name this pig, say Jeff Goldblum. And first let's try that one. He got teleported right there, so yeah. It teleports anything with that name to that area, so you can select things based on name. If you name something with a space in it, then, like I said before, just use these quotation marks around it, and it will allow you to put a space in there. The next two selector sets I want to talk about are a little bit confusing. They are the X rotation and the Y rotation. So, how you can think about this is, if you're looking straight, let's see, exactly, this is going to be sort of your X, because you're rotating like your X axis. You can see like those three little bars right there at my cursor. That's kind of how it's being thought about. It's like it's rotating your X, Y, Z in that direction. So by looking up and down, that's actually changing your X rotation. So it's also a little bit weird because this is, when you look upwards it's negative, and when you look downwards it's positive. And you can see that right here-ish. It tells you what your exact rotation is. It's 90, negative 90. And so, like, if you look straight, let's see. See if I can get it pretty close to 0. So this is going to be, when you look left or right, that's going to be your Y rotation. So your X rotation only goes from negative 90 to 90. Your Y rotation actually goes from negative 180 to 180. So if you look here, I'm at about 0, 0 rotation. Pretty close. Pretty close. So if I look left, you see the Y part, the Y rotation, that part can go all the way up to 180-ish by looking straight back behind me. And you can teleport based on, or you can select based on this. So let's say I'm looking straight down. So I do /TP at a X rotation equals 90. And we'll teleport to 0.560. And look at that. Got teleported to with Mr. Jeff Goldblum the pig here. And I can similarly do that by looking straight up. Now, this is probably another way in which ranges can be useful. So, for example, you saw it was pretty difficult for me to get it exactly on the 0 rotation mark, right? So I can do like -2 to 2, and that's pretty close. And look, see, I was in negative 1.6, so it teleported me there. So if I come over here, oh, nobody's looking, no person, because I'm doing at A here. Nobody is looking there. I'm looking at like 40, 46, which is not in the range of -2 to 2. The final set selector I want to talk about is the type set selector. You saw it in action a little bit last video when I teleported just that pig into the air using the @E command. We can do something kind of similar here. So let's get all these pigs out of here. /TP @E type equals pig. And you see, normally you can select it based on the Minecraft ID. That's generally what you want to do, is actually type it out. So you see Minecraft, if I could type it out, type Minecraft pig, type all of the pigs, and we'll teleport them to myself. And look at that, all the pigs get teleported to me. Now we can do something similar here, and teleport them to right back into that box. And look at that, they all get teleported back into that box. Or fenced area, I guess. And yeah, that's how the type command works. If we wanted to do... There's a lot of different types. You can also do player is a very good type to know, because you can teleport yourself, or any player if you don't want to teleport specific mobs. And yeah, so you can select all the different types of players and stuff. Now we've talked about all of the different types of selector sets. Let's talk a little bit more about their syntax. So each selector set, you start off with you start off with your target selector, and then you move on to the selector set. It's inside these brackets, and so then you just choose which one there is. And we went through a lot of them, but you can see there's a few here that, actually, I think we went through all of them except for advancements. You can also just check players by advancements, whether or not they have them, that sort of thing. So, you select whichever one you want. We'll go, in this case, we'll go type. Type is a pretty easy one. And so you can select the type, and here's the thing. You can select whether they are or are not something. So if you type in an exclamation point after, then it selects all of the things that are not this. So it will select all the entities that are not players, and this time it will teleport them 0, 0, and it teleports all of the entities back to this box, all the entities that are not players. Oh, see, it looks like there was some bones somewhere, some skeletons must have died at night or something, so pick those up. Probably a little bit of rotting flesh and stuff, a couple of items, because items are also entities, so yeah, it teleported everything that was not a player. This can be useful for, let's say, let's turn off my thing there. That sets the time to day, so let's time set night. Look at that. It's nighttime, so that means that the monster should be coming out pretty soon. Oh, there's a bat spawned. Interesting. It's been dark enough. And see, I don't have it on peaceful here, so all kinds of hostile mobs are spawning, right? Well, I don't want that. I want it to, when I set it to time set 0, time set day, essentially all these mobs, well, some of them are going to burn up, but you see there's like creepers and spiders and bats all around now, witches, they don't burn up. So how can I select all of them very easily without just going through and being like slash kill at E? Because if I do slash kill at E, it will kill myself as well, and also those pigs. So I don't want to kill those pigs, I want to just kill all the creepers, so I do slash kill type equals creeper. And then I would go through and be like, okay, husk, spider, that sort of thing. Well, there's an easier way. You just do type slash equals player. Also, we're gonna save the pigs as well. So type a pig. So that selects everything that's not a player and a pig, and it kills it. And I always like to do that one twice because it also, once they die, they're gonna drop items. So by doing that, you actually kill all the items as well after they've died the first time. The next argument I want to talk about are coordinates. So we've been using this teleport command /TP, and we've been using a target selector to first decide where we want to target. Let's just teleport myself for now. So I've been using these occasionally. What are those? Well, tilde notation is a relative coordinate system. So essentially what it does is it teleports you relative to exactly where you are. So if I want, starting off, it's the same as typing regular coordinates. So regular coordinates, of course, start X, Y, Z, and that will teleport me to where these pigs are. So if I want to teleport, let's say I don't know exactly where I want to teleport, I just know I want to get teleported 10 blocks in the positive X direction. So then I would go 10, or excuse me, do that. That is my current position. How you change where that goes is you put in a number after. So that teleports me 10 blocks in the positive X direction. Similarly, give me this tilde back. Teleports me 10 blocks up. this teleports me 10 blocks in the Z direction. And if I want to go backwards, teleport back using that same way, and that just would teleport me to exactly where I am. That's why all those pigs, when I was selecting all those pigs, so I want all those type equals pigs, let's free the pigs real fast. This will teleport them exactly to where I'm standing. It works the same as if I typed in PG5 here. It still teleports them right to myself, essentially. So, yeah, tilde notation is very useful if you just want to, like, teleport somebody a few blocks forward or a few blocks backwards. Or if you want to teleport them relative to where somebody is. There's another kind of relative coordinate notation, and that's caret notation. So if I do /tp, let's type in who we want to first. /teleport. Let's just do ourselves. So then type in this @s, even though it isn't needed, and we'll type in our caret. And that's essentially, you can teleport based on where your cursor is facing. To the left of this first caret is to the left. This second caret is up, and this is forward. So essentially, like your left right based on where you're looking, your up down based on where you're looking, and your forward backwards where you're looking. So your new sort of coordinate system is relative to where you're looking rather than the actual coordinate system of the world. So for instance, I want to teleport myself to the left 10 blocks. Teleports me to the left 10 blocks. This teleports me to the right 10 blocks because I did negative to the left. But let's look this way. It's not going to teleport me. That teleports me 10 blocks to the right. That teleports me 10 blocks to the left. But this is not the same left-right, so like I was facing this way and I got teleported over there, as opposed to when I'm facing this way, I got teleported over there using the same commands, because all of a sudden I'm looking at a different axis, right? My axis is now left-right, going this way, then you've got your up-down on the second one, and so like if I did, this will also teleport me to the same place, kind of. If I do 10... let's see where I'm at. Yep, same-ish place that I was when I teleported to the left facing this way. Face down, now this is my up-down axis, so I got teleported up, quote-unquote, 10 blocks based on where I was looking. And now if I wanted to do, like, forward 10 blocks, go boop, and that just teleports me 10 blocks forward. And similarly, I could teleport myself backwards if I wanted to, using negative. So, yeah, that's tilde and caret notation. They're both very useful in specific circumstances where you don't necessarily need to know the exact coordinates. You just need to know, like, relative to where you're standing. So that's why it was, when I was showing you the distance command, I summoned that pig exactly 10 blocks away this way. I knew that command was going to work now because it's exactly 10 blocks this way. Because it's 10 blocks relative to where I was standing. The only other part of coordinates that you should know is that you can actually mix them as well. So like if I did /tp at e type equals pig, I can do a relative coordinate, and then I can do a, let's teleport them like 59. I can do a actual coordinate, and then I can do another relative, and it teleports them 3 blocks into the air above me, because it teleports them to my X and Z, but it teleports them 3 blocks higher than the ground level, because I teleported them to 59 exactly. I could get the same result by doing 3 here, but if you know the Y coordinates, why not just type in the Y coordinate there, so it teleports them to the same spot there. It's important to know that while you can mix actual and relative coordinates, you cannot mix the two notations themselves. So like this mixed with this, mixed with this. It doesn't understand that. You need to type in either all caret or all tilde, or some caret, some actual, some tilde, some actual, or all actual. One last note on teleporting before we end it here. You notice that when I did /tppg5056.0, it didn't teleport me exactly to 0, 0. It teleported me to 0.556.5. When you teleport to a block, it teleports you directly to the center of the block when you type in just integers like this. If I wanted to, I could type in 0.0 and 0.0, and it would teleport me to exactly 0, 0. But the 0, 0 isn't in the middle of a block. 0, 0 is right here in between 4 blocks. So it's important to note that coordinates actually do have these decimals. Generally, you really only care about getting teleported to the center of the block, but it comes up occasionally. Just like in that distance I showed you, like getting exactly 10 blocks away. It was important to note that I was coordinates-wise exactly 10 blocks away to the decimal. So, it doesn't come up often, but just in case it ever does, it's a good thing to note. The next kind of arguments I want to talk about are block, item, and entity names. You saw when I used the summon command, I typed in pig, specific pig up there, to summon that pig. Well, let's talk a little bit more about that. Let's use the fill command to make this area a swimming pool. I actually used a fill command, a specific version of it, to create this outline here. And so we're going to fill this in instead of with sandstone, because you can't swim in sandstone, with water. So we're going to stand here, /fill, and we're going to fill from where we're standing to, it's about 10 blocks in the x direction, -2 blocks below us, should make it about 2 deep, and we will do -10 in the z direction, because of where we're facing. Then we'll do Minecraft water. Place. Again, right here, you saw a few more of those command-specific arguments. I used the fill, or the outline, argument to make this glowstone. Now we're going to use the replace to replace all of this sandstone with water. You can destroy, and it actually will destroy the blocks and drop them. Hollow will just hollow it out, that sort of thing. So, replace, we're going to replace it, the Minecraft sandstone. There we go. And bada bing, it replaced all the sandstone that was in this area with water. So now, you can see how the actual outline, it actually did outline the entire area, including its bottom and the top, but I had to replace the top, or take it off so that you can see, you get a swimming pool here, but essentially, yeah, you can see I told it exactly what blocks I wanted to change, and if you just type in Minecraft, it will actually list out all of the blocks you can change things to, or what can't be changed here. It just lists out essentially all the blocks, so there's quite a few of them. You probably want to know which ones you're looking for generally, but if you don't, then you always have this list, so you can scroll through it and check for yourself what you want to change. Also, I'll show you this summon command again. So let's say I want to /summon Minecraft, and this gives me a list of all of the entities right here. So I can, an area effect cloud, whatever, firework, rocket, husk, different things. We'll do Minecraft pig, and we'll summon another pig. Bada bing. Hello. You're now named Jeff Goldblum. This is your life now. We can always do this with items, so I can do /give, and who do we want to give it to? We'll give it to myself, either @s_pg805, or, any of the other ones that would select just me, or, in this case, anybody, because there's no one else on the server, but just me for now. Minecraft. Let's give myself a saddle. Oops. Let's actually finish typing it out. There we go. Got a saddle. Now we can ride on Jeff here. and it'll take us where we want to go. Or where he wants to go, I suppose. I don't have a carrot on a stick. Let's fix that. A carrot on a stick. When you type it out, don't forget to actually tab autocomplete it. Just like selecting it from the list, you have to you have to actually autocomplete it. Otherwise, using your tab or actually typing it out, you have to actually Otherwise, you get that same error I've been getting where I'm not actually completing the command because I'm just typing in caro instead of carrot. So, another argument that you've actually seen me use in this video is data tags. So, let's bring up that summon command where I used it earlier. And do Minecraft pig, and we'll summon it 10 blocks in that pen over there, which is about 10 blocks away. You see it brings up this NBT. Well, for this you kind of have to know what you look for. It doesn't autocomplete so well, so you have to know no AI. And this time we'll make the pig invulnerable as well. And look, this pig. So now that no AI tag makes it so this pig won't move, can't move. It just sits there staring in this direction. I could have summoned it facing a different direction or whatever, but for now, it's just going to sit there facing that direction. And also, it won't take any damage from anything except for the player at this point. So, for instance, if I come over here and kill it, it will actually die. But, if I summon it right here, just summon it right on this exact location, see, that would have killed a normal pig, but it doesn't kill this pig because it's invulnerable. So yeah, that's data tags. We're gonna talk more specifically about them later, probably in a segment where we talk about custom items and custom mobs. But for now, know that you can add data to items and stuff that you're summoning using these data tags. The final argument I want to talk about is for a few specific commands. This is really only used by the tell raw command and I believe the title command, whatever is the command that actually makes the words like pop up on your screen. And essentially all it does is it's for making like fancy text. It's using raw JSON data, JSON text, JSON, not JASON, JSON, like the actual computer language. So if I do /tellRaw, it'll just send it to every player, which in this case is just me. But you have to type in, you have to tell it what you want it to say, and you have to put everything in quotation marks. So you put even what you're telling it to put there. So then text, and we'll say, "Hello world." And now let's see what we can do to this text. Let's just make it bold for now. Bold. And see, that's true. You see, it's bold. Looks different than if I did that. It actually makes it bold text. So we'll talk about the specifics of that and different things you can do with that in a specific video about the tell raw and title command probably. But for now, just know that you can. That's how that argument looks. So now we've talked about a lot of the arguments. We talked about command-specific arguments, target selectors and their selector sets, coordinates, block item, entity ID names, data tags, and just raw JSON text. Now it's your turn. I want you to go out and try out a few of the edge cases with these things, a few things I might not have gotten to or mentioned in this video. If you see something, try it out, see how it might interact differently with a command than a lot of the cases that I showed you today. Another thing you can also try out is mixing and matching a lot of the selector sets. I really only showed you one or two cases where I used more than one, but in reality you can use a lot of these things. So maybe go through and try combining them in different ways just to see how they interact as well. Finally, I want to say thanks for the feedback on the last video. I really tried to use a lot of it, so and I really do appreciate it. So any feedback at all, feel free to leave it. I really do appreciate it, and I do try to incorporate it in some way. So thank you very much. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video.